Hey guys, how's it going? This is Marc Sadowski with the Tiny Shutter Podcast, coming to you from middle of Amesbury. We're going to test out the slow shutter cam on the iPhone, and we're going to photograph that waterfall. So before we actually do any kind of photography, let me just show you what I'm going to be using to photograph the waterfall. Obviously I have my iPhone 6. I am using the Gizmon shutter release. Expands, and you just use the top button to photograph. It hooks into the audio jack. Now I'm just being a little fancy. You could always use your iPhone earbuds and use the volume up button to be the shutter release. Slow shutter cam allows you to use the audio jack to do any releasing. It's very convenient because any kind of sudden motion is going to produce blur in your photo. And for added effect, I have the moment lens. I'm going to be switching between just the native lens and the 18mm lens, depending on what angle I'm allowed to photograph and what's going to show best in the image. And that's it. That's all you need. Oh, it also helps to have this. It's a standard tripod. I have an iPhone holder that attaches to the head of the tripod. It's not the best mount for an iPhone, but it's going to do the trick in this case. There are a lot sturdier ones that you can use. This is the one I'm going to be using today. So let's go check out that waterfall. Now, all right, so here we have the iPhone. We're going to bring up slow shutter. And right now it's going to give you the live feed. There's a live feed in the corner here and a live feed in the main image here. To get the proper blur effect for your waterfall photo, what we're going to do is go into the little the aperture icon. We're going to leave it on motion blur, and we're going to jack up the blur strength. We're going to bring that up to the maximum. And shutter speed, about 15 seconds. You could go 30 seconds. It's going to depend on your preference. And we're going to make sure that's all, yep, that's all set. We're going to go into the settings. We're going to make sure that the picture resolution is the highest possible. It's going to vary from the iPhone that you have. We're going to do the file format as a TIFF. That's going to be your best image quality. And we're going to do volume shutter. Make sure that is turned on. And with that all set, we are ready to take our photo. Now the difference between taking a slow shutter with your iPhone and one with an actual DSLR camera is that we're not actually doing a long exposure. What happens is the slow shutter app is going to take a series of photos and start blending them together. So that's why, we have a very bright sunny day right now. It's not going to play a critical role as a DSLR camera would. We're going to be able to work around that, and that's one benefit we have with our iPhone. So let's go ahead and take a few test shots. Well, turns out I have a bit of bad luck. The little Gizmon device that I have is not working. I am going to switch to my earbuds. Oh, wait a minute. It was working. Hang on. There we go. It's working. So right now, I set the exposure on. As you can see, the image is frozen. The water is starting to blur. And then once it's all set, you'll see the save image or clear your image. You'll have the frozen image on the screen. And in the upper corner, you're going to have the live view. So if the blur is not blurry enough for you, you can always hit it again. And it's going to take that current exposure and add to it. And then, of course, you can stop it at any time. We're going to save it. And we're good. It's just that easy. So here we are back in the car. I have Maudbird with me. He was doing the video recording. And that's pretty much it. That's all you really need to know about using the slow shutter cam. Granted, we didn't have the most favorable of conditions. While we were still able to get the waterfall nice blurry action going, an overcast day would probably be more ideal. You could do a lot more editing to the photos. You can do a lot more with it. And so throughout this little end video part, I am going to show you, through the magic of post-production, other photos that I've taken using the iPhone and the slow shutter cam. Now, the reason why I like this app so much is that it is the only one that will allow you to take large file sizes. Other apps that I've used, they were small, not very good at printing. While they look fine on the iPhone or iPad, you know, they just didn't blow up to good quality print sizes.
You're talking about the end result? End
result, yeah. And so slow shutter cam does a great job. You can export into TIFF file, you can export that and do some post-production in Lightroom, or just do some post-production on your device itself. I'll show you some of that in a little bit later on. The other thing is that the blur effect, when I mentioned that you have to go into like that maximum setting, if you don't do that, your blur is going to have these little frozen moments of water, and it looks like kind of the best way I could put it is 1980s crimped up hair.
So you get a combination of water blurred, but little sharp droplets hanging here and there.
Yeah, and it looks really
looks
weird.
Weird, I bet.
It looks like crimped hair. Kids, ask your parents. Anybody who's been a fan of Debbie Gibson will know what I'm talking about. So, slow shutter cam is the only one that allows you to get that great blur and still have that maximum output. And
do you know, does it give it the output to you in the full, using the full resolution of your phone?
Yes. And what I was mentioning earlier to adjust the file size, that file size is going to be different for everybody. For me, it was the 8 megapixels. If I was doing it on the iPad, it would have been, I think, 5 megapixels. And if I was doing it on, like, you know, older models, it would show up whatever the maximum resolution is for that particular device. So you're really making the most of your files. And a little bit later on, I'll show you exactly how you can do some post-production on it and find out what the file size is, find out what the output size is. There's a neat little app that you can use to detect that. So yeah, that's just a little sum up of our waterfall trip. Love Amesbury, love that waterfall. It's the only one that we have that is local. Any other ones, we'd have to go right into the White Mountains. And yeah, yay.